Mr. Harris here, and welcome to a new video of Chapter 10. In this video, we're going to talk about how we're able to see color. To be more specific, we'll be talking about the light-sensitive cells. There are two types of these cells on the retina in our eye. The first type is called rod cells, and the second type is called cone cells. So now just imagine you have a microscope and you're magnifying this part over here or any other areas that you see. So the retina is made up of these two cells, as I mentioned, rod and cone cells. The rod cells are the ones in purple, and the reason why they're named like that is because they look like a rod. Okay, and the cone cell is this green one over here, and the reason behind why it's called the cone cell because it looks like an ice cream cone, the cone of an ice cream cone. Okay, however, in reality, of course, they're not green and purple colored. They've just added this color to amplify the effect to make it look nice. So first off, let's talk about the rod cells. They cannot actually detect color. However, they're responsible for black and white vision. So for example, if you're in a room, a very dark room, the rod cells, they are very sensitive to dim light. Okay, they're the ones that are responsible for dim light. So for example, if it's at nighttime, you close all the curtains, turn off all the light, you switch off all the lights. That is where when you open your eyelids, your rod cells will be doing majority of the work. On the other hand, you have the cone cells. They work best in bright light. So for example, in the sunshine or when it's daytime, you turn on the light anytime, the cone cells will be the ones that are primarily working. So these cone cells, they're responsible for color vision. To be more specific, there are three types of cone cells. So each type is responsible or sensitive to one particular light. So one of these types of cone cells are sensitive to red light. The other is sensitive to green light, and the last one is sensitive to blue light. Okay? So let us summarize what we've learned about the light sensitive cells. There are two types, namely rod cells and cone cells. Rod cells, they are for black and white vision. Let me write that down, black and white. While on the other hand, cone cells, they are for color vision. Rod cells, they are sensitive. They're sensitive to dim light. And cone cells, they're sensitive to, let me use a different color. They're sensitive to bright light. All right. So that sums up the part on rod and cone cells. Now let us do some checkpoint questions to wrap up this part. So match the structures of the eye from A to F with their correct descriptions. Okay, let's have a look. First off, we have the cornea. So if you remember the cornea and the lens, what they do is they help to focus light onto the retina. Let me just write they help to focus light. Okay, let's see which of this will match our description. So if you go and see number 5 over here, it is a transparent layer. So the cornea is a transparent layer that helps to focus light onto the retina, to be more exact. So we learned this, remember, on the topic when I talked about how we're able to see. So you can refer back to that video if you've forgotten. Let's see the next one. We have the iris, not Harris, not Mr. Harris, iris. So the iris, it's over here, I can already see it as option 1. It controls the size of the pupil. Okay, so the pupil, if you remember, it allows light to enter. So allows light to enter. Okay, and iris is the one that is responsible for controlling the size of the pupil. So let's see what's the next one. Oh, we have the pupil over here, so that's fair enough. So this allows light to enter the eye. So let me write that again. Allows light to enter the eye. So which one is it? Let's see. Yes, over here. Number 6 allows light to enter the eye. All right, let's see the next one. We have the lens. So if you remember the lens, we can change the thickness, and it also helps to focus light onto the retina. So we can change the thickness for near objects or for looking at objects that are far away, distant objects. So let's see which one is it over here. Yes, number 3. Its thickness can be changed to focus light onto the retina. Okay, very good. Let's go to the next one. We have the retina over here. Okay, this is good. The retina, it contains, of course, it has the rod and cone cells. So let's see which one is it. Yes, number 2, it contains the light sensitive cells, which are the rod and cone cells. Now F, we have the optic nerve. The optic nerve, of course, it sends the messages from the cells, the rod and cone cells, to the brain. So it should be number 4. The messages from the light sensitive cells are sent along to the brain. Now let's see question 2. The images formed on our retina, they are upright. Of course, this is false. The images that are formed are inverted on our retina. However, the image that is formed after being sent to our brain through the optic nerve, that is when the image is upright. But on the retina, it is inverted. Let's see question B over here. There are 3 types of rod cells on our retina. Is that correct? No, again, this is false. There are 3 types of cone cells on our retina, which are sensitive to red color, green color, and blue color. All right. So that sums up this video. In this video, we've talked about the rod and cone cells. Let me go back. So make sure you summarize this table and make sure you study this table as well. And finally, we went through these checkpoint questions. So by now, you should be familiar with the structures of the eye and their functions. All right. I'll see you guys in the next video then. Bye.